YouTube, Facebook, the lot. Myles has not been a mute on purpose because I'm just going to introduce him into it. Welcome our guest, Myles. Hello, there he is.
Hello. Can you see me and everything?
Hello. You can't hear me. Oh, okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I know you can. It's because
someone else can.
This microphone here needs to be heard as well.
Right.
I didn't think this through. I thought I was being really smart.
Listen,
I'm really smart.
It's like all in and done.
I know.
Just having a tea now.
I'm assuming you can hear me now, Han, through this little mic here. We can't hear you at all. Right.
Hi, Alex.
Right, okay.
Hey, baby. Hi.
We're going to get feedback for 2 seconds while I turn this down.
No, listen.
Right. We're in. Okay. Now people on Instagram can hear me. Yeah, Myles, take it away. You introduced the show. You've got everything covered now, so this is good news. So first of all, welcome back to our uncrowned mental health award winner.
Yet to be.
Yeah, yet to be. Myles did win one of the 2020 awards, but everyone else has received theirs apart from Myles. So I don't know what bad karma he's done in the meantime.
Probably my postman. He's like, no.
Your postman is just flirting with you.
Probably. He's actually really nice. I see him a lot, but stop it.
Well, I mean, that's the only visitor we have to the house nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I haven't actually seen him for a few days. He might jump on though, no doubt.
Follows you on Instagram. So for those of you who don't know, watching elsewhere as well, we've got some people watching from Facebook. Myles is a previous. Yeah, we're all over the place. YouTube, Twitch. Do you even know what Twitch is?
I know what Twitch is. We're international. I feel famous.
We're Mr. Worldwide over here. Like I said, Myles has been a previous guest, so please, Myles, don't feel like you're repeating yourself because this one is going podcast as well. You're going to be everywhere, mate.
Wow, I'm a big deal.
Is this your first podcast?
Yeah, it actually is. I did like to think about that. Yes, it is.
I feel like you were lying. Like you.
No, I was like, wait, have I done one before? Nah, I haven't.
Well. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, welcome Myles Newland. He's going to be big in the game sometime soon, so you better get to know him anyway.
It's happening.
So, Myles, I'm going to ask you, even though it might be feel a little bit repeaty, to go through. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit of your journey, a little bit of, people always tend to focus on they've got recency bias and focus on the things that we think we want to hear, but everything that makes you is from day dot to now, isn't it? So take it away.
Hello, my name is Myles. I am 28. I am from Essex, Clacton-on-Sea. Big up. I'm from Clacton. We know that already. I'm a dancer. What else am I? I live in London now, in East London. What else? That's about it, really, for me.
Well, yeah, that's what you.
Go on.
That's what you say when you like awkwardly introduce yourself.
Yeah,
it's like when you start around in circle time and go, so tell us a bit about yourself. But what I want to know, Myles, is like, tell me about a little bit of the upbringing you had. Like, what kind of? Because I know you're a big family man.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're an identical twin. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
All this stuff. Don't make me.
Sorry. That was like the basic version. Now it's like, okay, relax, Myles. So I am, from a very big family. I'm one of 5, and I have an identical twin brother called Paris. Growing up, stunning, very, very fortunate, like very nice childhood, like no major like things. I'll probably repeat myself loads when it comes to like family and stuff because it's such like a huge part of my life, and the older I get, the more I realize that. So I'm like, it's mad, like very, very, very fortunate to have the setup that I've got back at home for sure. I went to high school, the same one my mum worked at, which was a
she worked there whilst you were there?
Yeah.
This is new info for me. I didn't know this bit.
Yeah, she actually worked in my year for a bit, like in the year office. So it was a situation of like, Myles, go to the year office, you're being a little shit. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I just get to the door, I'm like, Mum. And I'd always feel really bad because she would just be like, listen, you're just embarrassing me. Like, I'm not even mad at you, you're just embarrassing me.
She played the embarrassment card, like the disappointed card, not even didn't go for the shout, nothing.
Not at all. So yeah, school was fine. And then I went to college when I was like 16, 17, and I moved out then actually. I moved to Southend for 3 years with one of my best friends, which then kind of started this
Where did you go then?
I went to Tiffany's Theatre College.
Okay. So we've probably got a few normal people, normies. I say that in jest, but people who are maybe not dancers. So you studied for 3 years and moved out, which some people think is probably quite young. Even though you didn't go far, you didn't go that far, but
no, it was too young though. It was like, if I think back now, like me and my friend Eliana, we were literally living in like, it was at her auntie's house in the back garden in like an annex, but we were literally like 16, 17, like full on, you were by yourself. Like obviously we had the support of our families and stuff, but I look back now and I was like, God, it's too young. And also going to college with people who are in their 20s and you're in a place of like, this is just fun. And I'm like, yeah, it actually took me to graduate and leave to be like, Myles, this is grow up. This is like a thing. Do you know what I mean? At college, it's just fun. Like,
yeah, you've entered a bubble, so it is. It's like a little community, and you start at the bottom, and you do 3 years, and you end up a top dog or whatever if you feel like it, or feel very comfortable in your surroundings. I did the same thing. For those who don't know, I went to dance college at 16. I moved from up north to like London by myself. Started in a little landlady, so I was like in the box room, like in Harry Potter. I was in the box room.
It is mad,
literally had a single bed in, and like a cupboard, and that was it, like a single cupboard. And I actually hated it, so I got like special permission from my parents, and then the college, and I moved into, like you said, with older students. So I moved into a flat, living by myself at 16, but I lived with older students, so like quite
like fairly a uni hall vibes.
No, like a private flat.
Oh, okay, I have it.
It's when I was 16, so I was in the small room again, but I had like they were both in third year, like 21-year-old Anna, Richard, John, like older, so I could go to them and go, so how would you cook pasta?
Yeah, to be fair, that's not far from what I do now, to be honest.
Well, just ask for
I was like, can someone help me? I messaged my mum today actually about dinner, and I was like, Myles, when do you grow out of that? Like, when do you know how long chicken takes in the oven? It's like,
no, but I think that's good, and I still have that, and I like that. It's like certain things, like anything DIY related or anything that requires actual skill, like straight on the phone to my dad. Anything that cleaning or anything like, how do I get a stain out of this? How do I fix this? Then straight on the phone to my
It's just like adult stuff, isn't it? Just adults know that stuff.
Yeah, but
even though we are adults, I guess.
Well, I mean, mate, I turn 30 next week.
Next week? Oh, what? Well, you got much planned?
I do actually, but it's not about me. So I'll talk about that right at the end. Okay. So how was it leaving your identical twin? Was that weird, or was that good? The right timing for it?
Oh, I'd say looking back now, probably like right timing for it, because I think especially being a twin, you kind of get like boxes, like you're like the same person pretty much. And then throughout school, we kind of started to find our own ways, but still you are like the duo, you know, like in any family setup, friend setup. So I think me going to college was like the real turning point in like us two. Sounds really deep, like finding our own identity outside being like the twins. Boom. So yeah, it wasn't like oh, this is a struggle at all. It was just more, I think it made us like a lot closer. Like in school, I don't think we were necessarily that close, like at all, considering.
But why would you, like, if you think of it from an outside perspective, like everyone expects you to be like inseparable, exactly the same. But
some people are like, I know girls, there's a set of twin girls who are like best friends, like do everything together. And sometimes I'm like, is that weird that we don't have that? But I'm like, no, we're actually super close already. So I'm like, it doesn't need anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
But he is literally one of the nicest boys I've ever met in my life. Met? That's weird. He is. He is.
When did you meet him, mate? In the fucking room.
Here because he is, I swear, a ledge.
Would he do it?
No.
Well, there we go.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I feel like he would just be. It would take him like 10 minutes to like relax. Yeah.
Where it only takes you 5.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm primed. I'm ready to go. What would you say the main differences are between you two?
I was about to say something straight away. Then make me sound like an idiot. I think it's confidence. Definitely, because I think. I suppose it comes down to like career choice as well. I think it comes a certain amount of confidence and arrogance to be a performer. Not calling all performers arrogant, but it's more of like a front, like an ego thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially situations you find yourself in, either auditions, you have to have like a bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, facade almost.
That's the one, facade.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? Great. Yeah, I think I think it's a confidence thing where like he just takes a while to like warm up, but then he's like really, really funny. And he's a lot calmer. Sometimes like you're just so calm. Like, and there's me like scatty around.
Would you describe yourself as the opposite, as in like more
I wouldn't say erratic. It's just quite like
I'm putting words in your mouth there.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say erratic. I would just be like, sometimes I'm like, Myles, relax. Just chill. Relax.
Yeah.
Where like Paris is very like, even when I speak to him, he's like, hi mate, you alright? I'm like, yeah, good, how are you? I'm like, Myles, relax. Just take it down. But nah, he's a sweetheart. But yeah, I'd say the biggest difference between us two is like, I'm just a lot more confident.
Or perceived to be.
Yeah, maybe. I was about to say like, maybe I'm not. Like
No, I'm not getting you to doubt your own confidence, but one question that I kind of have as an open discussion, and I have it myself, is in there is that thing. It's very interesting you said about performers having that ability to do that.
Yeah.
So where does true confidence and that meet? Like where is the middle ground? How much of it is put on, the show must go on?
Yeah.
How much? Because I felt after a while and like stopping towards the end of my career, like I feel like quite a naturally very confident person.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like I have to overexert myself in social situations or prove who I am in that sense, which is I feel very lucky for that. But I did feel that after years and years, my confidence was getting chipped away at. Not maybe other people couldn't see it, but you could start to feel it, like being judged in that sense.
Because of work, or?
Yeah, I think mainly auditions, being put and being judged for how you look, what you do, and also like I don't know how much I've spoke about this, but being in the same audition as people that you've taught, students, was like I really didn't like that, because it's like this whole perception of there's like a real facade there of like this teacher and student thing, and when you're put in the same environment, you're exactly the same. So there's like this pressure to be, I don't know, really good, or this pressure to be like, I don't know.
Because I suppose that's all in your head, though, isn't it? It's like, especially if you teach people, then you're in an audition with, because you'd be like, I'm meant to be teaching you to do this, and chances are, like, you might get it.
Yeah, you're doing. I'm looking at the camera going, you're doing better than me right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I also find it really weird auditioning alongside friends as well. I've always found that concept really weird. I don't know why. I'm always like, of course we're friends, and it's not even a competition thing. It's more of like I suppose like an ego thing, isn't it? You kind of don't want to be the first one to get cut, or like, yeah, when you get cut, oh, I'll see you after. Yeah, cool. It's like, oh, it's rough.
Yeah, it is really interesting because there's also, you have to have an amount of logic to be able to like not take things personally. Yeah. But then like how much of it, then you start doubting yourself how much of it is delusion. If I'm keep getting cut, like I'm going through a streak of getting cut through things, and I'm just thinking, I'm just not right for this project. My time will come, and then you're like, I'm staying really good mindset, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, am I actually? Then you start down yourself and go, am I actually shit? And I'm just being delusional, trying to keep this mindset. So there's always that back and forth of that mind frame.
It is rough what like we put ourselves through, really, isn't it?
It is.
We're all very like, but I think it takes a certain personality to do it as well. Like,
yeah, that's the question. Is do you think that, you know, what actually drew you to, you know, do you think you already had that personality? That's why you were drawn to this industry, or do you think that you had the skill set and that drawn you to the industry?
Oh, good question. I guess like skill set is obviously important in terms of like wanting to do it, because it will get to a certain point, especially audition, if like you would realize real quick if you were just wasting your time. But I think from the get-go, there must be.
Did somebody in your family already dance?
My mum's background is very like performery and like artsy, like massively. But I come from like a huge football setup as well, like the very stereotypical like West Ham for life, like. But no, my mum's side was very dancey and actory, and so she has told me about it. But I'm like, to reel it out as facts, I'm not confident.
So did she introduce you to it, to say, I think you'll enjoy this, Myles?
Honestly, I can't remember how it all came about. I think my sister was at like a dance competition, and I remember me and Paris finishing. No, I do remember. We were at a leisure centre, like playing football, which I fucking hated. And we went to this dance competition after, and then just a part of me was like, oh, I want to do this, and then it just spiraled from there. And I always felt very like it was never a thing, or I can't do that because I'm not going to be loud, or like it's not going to be the it thing to do. I never had that, so I was very like fortunate. Even throughout school, like I danced at school and stuff, and never dealt with any like bullying for doing that, because it's rough. Like some people are very horrible. So I experienced it happen to other people, but I think, not to sound like mafia, but I know when you have big brothers at your school, the chances are that you're not going to get into certain situations other people find themselves in because it's that so-and-so's brother. So I felt like there was an element of that. But I also think for myself, like, give myself some credit. I think I had a very much like, oh, fuck it, it's something I want to do, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, definitely.
When it comes to, I mean, obviously just my opinions, but when it comes to like bullying and school, and it can be all very cruel. But there's a sense of bullies, you know, they're quite young. They've learned that behavior somewhere, probably from their home, from their setup, and then they probably do it when they pray and they feel people have got weakness and insecurity. So if you've been confident with it and had that permission to do it to yourself and in your surroundings, inside school, then there's no reason to, you know. I mean, I didn't get bullied through dancing, but I kind of did for a good few years, probably like 3 years of secondary school. Say, if people ask me, I'd be like, yeah, I've given up. Yeah, I used to, but I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Yeah, it is so weird, and that like the only person is making you do that is yourself, really.
Yeah, it's because you don't want to have to put up with the stick of what you enjoy doing, which is interesting. I remember having like a not in the same terms as, but like having like a coming out party, only literally when it comes to dancing, and dancing like in assembly, and nobody knew I was going to do it, and I was just like, you got to like a certain age, and I was just like, fuck it.
But what did you do? Like dance?
I did like a performance in assembly, and everyone's like, "Where the hell did that come from?"
Well, you just did a little dance, and everyone was like, "Oh wow, Elliot dances."
Yeah, but because I went for it, did the performance, and I didn't. I just got people like saying like "well done" and props and stuff.
Yeah, have it.
Because obviously it took a bit of confidence, bit of skill, whatever.
Oh,
but that was a joke. Yeah.
Confident. We love it.
Confident. Yeah. What defines confidence for you, and how do you not even have to think about upkeeping yours anymore?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just an understanding of like who you are and what you're about, and your like circle of people you have around you. Because I think especially, and it's hard to navigate that sometimes, because especially growing up and leaving like a home set up and making new friends from all different places, I think there's a certain element of like the home comfort is like gone, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So that you kind of grow up in a place where you're very familiar with everything. People know you, you might know them. So I think it's hard because you can end. I feel like I went through a phase, especially in like younger years, of having like being in friendship circles where I felt like I was confident, but really like a hierarchy of like people. Where now I think the older you get, that kind of just goes, and you have your circle, and you're just like, listen, this is me. These are my best friends, and it's like that thing goes. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I think I might have said it.
I think you have said it. I think that in certain establishments, like school, like colleges, some of the examples that you've been through, there's a definite hierarchy of people that are older. Like age becomes a thing, or experience becomes a thing, or skill becomes a thing. But especially when you're like self-employed, you're in the big bad world. And just as I described before about, my student is on the same playing field as me, even though I'm on the teacher. It's that everyone's cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, 100%.
And that is so it's your belief in that gives you confidence that everyone's equal and everyone's the same. Yeah. Whereas a lot of people don't think like that, especially if they're still in like corporate jobs that have that hierarchy. It's a really interesting one, and that's a massive thing about mental health. Is I haven't had anyone, a major celebrity, come on or be, apart from you, of course.
Yeah. God, I thought this was being podcast everywhere.
But do you know what I mean? I would treat them exactly. I would speak to people and treat people exactly the same, no matter if they're a CEO of a $1 billion corporation, to somebody who was going through a hard time and maybe lost their home or something like.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's so important. But then, do you feel like that is a confidence thing as well? So, say if someone is at like the peak of whatever they're at, and they're a bit of an idiot to like everyone below them, is that because they are so confident, or they're not confident at all, or their insecurities? Do you know what I mean? It's hard. I actually feel like being, do you know what I mean? It's weird.
Definitely. I know exactly what you're going for. And it's a really good question, because I think that, I would probably sit on, if I'm honest, the more skeptical side of if people were higher up and were being like overly bravado, or felt like they had it in external ways, then they probably do lack a bit of confidence.
Yeah.
They do, they do. They feel like they have to prove it. They maybe have a little bit of imposter syndrome, that they don't feel like they deserve to be there, or like to impose their power or levels above hierarchy on other people. So it does take. I guess it's another example of confidence. It's confidence to treat people higher than you the same, and it takes a lot of confidence to treat people below you the same.
And then that person, and I find that like really attractive and a nice quality for someone to have. I'm like, you are that guy, but you're also lovely. And it's like, you're that confident with yourself that like you can be who you are, or be who she is, whoever, and still be lovely. And I'm like, that's the one. And this actually came up. Sorry, I might have gone off the rails now. I recently have joined a book club. I'm not even joking. And so basically, this page called Impulse London, they send you the book every month, and you read the book, and at the end of the month, you have like a meeting on Zoom about it. And there was a chapter in this book called like, can you be? It was based in like the gay scene, but we can even transfer it over to like straight people. Can you be gay and nice in London? Like, does that cut it? Is that enough? And it's funny because I just thought, I think being nice in general is so attractive. It's like, it's confidence. I think being horrible is like, what's your issue? Like, why are you doing that? But it's so weird because it came up in the book club the other day, and it was so funny to hear like people's opinions on it. Like, some people like, nice is not enough. Like, you can't just be nice. You get walked over. And I was like, no, nice is just enough. Like, do you think being nice is enough? Can you just be nice, or do you feel like there's an element of like you can have both?
See, yeah, I think nice is enough as a broad stroke generalization. I do think, you know, if somebody was to describe me and the first and only word they used was nice, I'd be a bit offended, I think. But honestly, do you know what I mean? As in,
yeah,
the version of nice that leans into the side of it that's wet flannel or like gets walked over or is too nice. There's a difference between being too nice and not saying what you think and feel. Like, you can be nice and be confident and still have opinions and still, you know.
Nice and confident. Boom.
Yeah. Boom. Yeah.
Not nice, be walked over nice.
Yeah. Not exactly. So you mentioned, why did you bring it up in the sense of, you weren't embarrassed about it, but why is it something new or a new venture for you, like doing something like a book club?
Yeah, massively, because, and I think I might have said this in my last chat with you, I struggle with articulating myself sometimes. And I think I naturally like go to like try and be funny route, because what I'm trying to say in my head's not coming across. So when I see about the book club, I was thinking, okay, I've got time on my hands. Like, I don't really read. I just sit on Instagram all the time. So I thought, right, okay, this can be like a little thing for myself that I can get into. And I'm not gonna lie, like I was on a Zoom call and I thought, wow, Myles, you are so out your depth. It's unbelievable. And like, they were making points about the book, and some of these guys were just, what they were saying, in my head, I was like, that's exactly how I feel. But the moment I answered one question, I swear, I was just like, what are you saying? Like, what are you doing? So I think for me, it was like, it has been a task in proper taking myself out of like my comfort zone and like sitting down, reading the book, writing notes down on the book, because I read it, I'm like, cool. And I get to the end of the chapter, I'm like, what was that about? So like making notes on it, and then sitting down and like being in the chat and saying something. So yeah, I think it was more of a mission for me to start articulating myself better. Even saying articulating, I'm like, Myles, you don't say that, what you're doing. But
well done. That's amazing to like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone like that. And you're articulating. I can't even say it now. You've done it to me. You are articulating yourself very well right now. So good.
Thanks.
But that's, yeah, it's interesting that it's just, you know, that's, you don't feel like that is your strong point. You think your strong point is in other places, like being cheering people up, being a bit comedic.
100%. Yeah. And I think it's helped even with like stuff that has happened like in my life. It's like, it's not healthy to always be that guy, like even for yourself. And I think I've mentioned it before, kind of like, I felt like I was switching on some kind of persona. And I think if you strip that back, it's because maybe when it comes to it, I'm like, I don't know how to like say how I feel, or like even have the words to kind of like describe it. So I think subconsciously I was just like, nah, let's not deal with that. Let's be this guy. But I think having the time to like not be working, not be going out, it's just highlighted more things to me, and I'm sure it has for lots of people.
Yeah.
So,
and we've learned, one, on mental health, two, from our previous chat, that being open really helps, and it doesn't matter if you stumble on your words. It doesn't matter if you can't get out what you're feeling, because a lot of people feel like that a lot of the time. What matters if you try and you start that dialogue, because then you can go back and forth and go, so is that what you mean? You go, yeah, kind of, but not in that way. And then we get to the bottom of it, So
and then someone can say back to you exactly what you were trying to say, and you're like, that's it. And then it goes.
That's it. So now you've made me think of another question, and I'm like, talk to me about the homosexual scene in London. Is it more accepted to not be nice, and how does describe me that whole question? Why is there a whole chapter in a book about it?
Because the book is called A Straitjacket, so it's about gay. What's it called?
Being suppressed as a gay man.
Yeah, it's oh no, there's a really good thing. I'm really showing myself up now. It's the overcoming society's legacy of gay shame. So basically, in a nutshell, this guy was doing an interview and he said, the gay scene in London, being nice, just doesn't cut it. And then you can kind of dissect it. And I think it comes down to like a looks thing sometimes, because it came up in a club. Someone can come up to you and be nice. Hey, how are you? But savage as it is, in a club environment, if that person's not attractive, you might not be as nice to them as they are being to you, for the sake of like, oh, you're trying to chat me up. So it's like, wait, or are they just being nice, starting a conversation? So then it's a hard. I just found it sad to think that like, oh, you can't be nice in general. But I think it's a London thing as well. It's like, I feel like everyone's very solo and it's very fast and
so I think what you're describing potentially, if I understand right, there's a lot of separate and different influences that have propagated this, culture of being a little bit more mean, a little bit more potentially sassy, or a little bit cold.
Yeah, and that comes up. It says like, why do gays in a short term fall into that bracket of like being bitchy and nasty? It's like, why? But it all stems from like a bigger picture, and everyone's brought up differently and gone through different stuff, and even what you see on telly, like there's loads of references to the gay guy in shows. Chances are always a bit sassy and a bit bitchy and quick, and that is, I mean, that's definitely me. I know that for a fact. Like I've always got stuff to say, but I think it made me kind of go, it is crazy the stereotypes that are attached to it.
Yeah, I mean, the stereotypes need to be broken down, but they also, if we're speaking about them, they appear and they come from somewhere. So it is interesting in that sense that it's obviously came from somewhere. And I love this whole revolution of breaking down stereotypes, dissecting it. Why did we come in? But it kind of goes full circle with our conversation that we spoke slightly about bullying and stuff. And I'm sure that there's always going to be a theme of resentment held if you've not been able to be yourself from a young age.
Because you kind of like you've suppressed a lot of years of your life, so then now it's kind of like you're on this conveyor belt to like experience life that you feel like you missed out on for 15, 20 years growing up in a small town that you did. So I think there's an element of everyone has a story and there's a reason why people are the way they are. But it's been a really interesting book to read, actually. And I've made so many notes that you kind of read back and I'm like, God, and then I find myself doing that, like, Myles, who are you? What are you doing? But it's actually been really nice, especially in this time, because it's like, yo, what is everyone else doing? What am I doing? There's nothing to do. So I have enjoyed having that to like dive into. And I even had like conversations with my friends about some of the issues in it. And it's funny because like everyone has their own opinion on all of it. So
Cool.
Enjoyed it.
And then, side note, just a quick interjection. There's that TV drama at the moment that's just been aired, which I've only seen the first. What's it called again? It's a Sin. Yes, that's it. I've only watched the first episode, but it was amazing, and I'm looking forward to watching the rest.
Have you? You only watched episode 1?
Only watched episode 1. Yeah.
Mate.
So no spoilers, but
no spoilers.
Look at Miles's face. That shows you. Yeah.
If no one's seen It's a Sin on Channel 4, I think it's on. Wow, it's a lot though, but it's wicked. It's so good. It's so good, but yeah, it's quite sad.
Yeah,
mind blowing. Emily McGugan said that's true. It
is. So there's a recommendation from today. Do you think also when you were saying that thing about the example of being in a club and the culture of being able to, men I think are notoriously more open-minded when it comes to sexual relations.
Yeah.
Whether that's right or wrong, and women's have been suppressed to not being able to be open-minded, then that's a whole different context, a whole different conversation. But is it more attractive to be stern because it shows like dominance and authority, and that's something that is ranked as attractive, and maybe us spouting and being like soft and just like discussing how we feel right now is less attractive, like not that it should be ranked, and obviously everyone has their own preferences, but I didn't know if that was another factor of I just saw that when I was playing out that story in the head, the example you were giving us, that the person who was like trying to be really nice and kind of got pied off a little bit, I felt like he was attracted to that person more because it was uncertain and he couldn't have what he potentially wanted.
The thing that's mad is, like, I'm sure a lot of people can agree, like, you can be dating someone and like a reason for you not liking them is because they're too nice. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I've definitely said it before, oh no, he's too nice. But it's like, what do you mean? Like, how? So I feel like it's been something for me that kind of goes, I'm preaching this thing of like, no, nice is good, nice is lovely, nice is attractive. But I know for a fact that I've like slowly like ghosted away from a situation because they're so sweet, it's just too nice. So I think I don't know, it's a hard one. I feel like nice is great. So if you're being like stern and a bit offish, I'm like, ta-da.
Yeah, that is. I think I probably sound like a broken record on mental health, but balance is key with everything. Like I said, I think anyway. If if you are always stern the whole time, that's going to be like, this guy is not nice.
Yeah,
too nice.
Right.
Finding some balance about what do you mix in with your niceness. Not saying that anyone should. If somebody is naturally always nice, then
yeah, of course.
I don't know. Relationships are hard in general, aren't they? Let's be honest.
Don't get me started. They are, but I think I don't know. Relationships, boy, I'm gonna be single forever. I can feel it.
You're not, mate. There's people queuing out the door. I can say, I'm gonna get in a minute. I'm gonna elbow in.
Listen, come in.
What about?
Go on.
We spoke about, let's marry the two things up. We spoke about the differences between you and Paris, your identical twin, and then obviously we spoke about we didn't actually speak about when you came out, but I think we did cover it on the last episode. For those who are listening back on the podcast, on the Instagram IDTV, there's Miles's first episode on there, which is a must watch. Definitely, it's a big one. And part of the reason why. Did you for the first time?
Yeah, for the first time.
Ooh. How did it make you feel?
Well, not awful. I was just like, I don't know, because I felt like I knew how I felt at the time. So I was watching, like, before I was even crying, I was just crying, like watching it, because I was thinking, oh God, that was rough. But
it's kind of like tragic and beautiful to like look back at yourself and like empathize with yourself. Look how much pain that person's in, and it's you, and it's like, oh
yeah. Like I was making myself cry, and I was like this feels really self-indulgent. But I was like, no, like this is. I felt like I wanted to watch it to be like, okay, I get, especially after the award moment. I was like, right, I want to watch it now.
Oh, cool! I'm glad that.
Yeah, because I've not watched it. I was like, nah, no way am I watching that. Like, but yeah, it was a bit difficult. I was like, oof. I think I skipped a few bits because I knew.
I don't think that's self. I mean, I probably have maybe a polarized opinion to people on emotions and openness, but I don't think that that's self-indulgent at all. I think it's really healthy to exercise your emotions, especially if you feel like you're in a stronger place to look back at how far you've come, to like exercise any other part of your body. Like, why not your emotions, which are like an integral part of yourself, to make sure that the full range from excitement to sorrow is there,
Yeah, definitely.
So there's your little teaser for the IGTV. Go and check that out if you've not seen it already.
You get like a little bar it rises up on or something.
Yeah, a little swipe up. The point I was making is the difference of being identical twins, and I already have the preloaded information that Paris is not gay. So there's one gay brother, one non-gay brother, and what's the surely that's a podcast right there.
Well, it's weird because people do. It was a thing for a long time. Like, wait, you're gay and he's not, and I was like, yeah. What? And I was like, I don't know. Like, is that a thing? But I think that comes with the territory of like when you're a twin, you kind of do get put as one. So then you are like the same person. So I think me being gay and him being straight is obviously like a thing. I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, we're two separate people. Like we like, although we are identical, but we are separate. So I think for a long time people find it really weird, but also our lives are quite separate. Like obviously I live here, he lives there. I think Demi might be watching his girlfriend. I saw her pop on. They've been together like 12 years, 13 years.
That must be weird. That must be weird. She must feel like she knows you as well.
She's like family. And I'm excited for them to like have a child. Because I'll be like, wait, if I were to have like a child, like biologically, is that the right word?
Yes.
That's what it would look like because I look like him.
Yeah. Interesting.
Really smart observation.
I obviously wasn't labeling both your values as just your sexuality, by the way.
No.
You know what I mean? For those who don't know me, there's much more to you both individuals than just your sexuality. But yeah, it is an interesting conversation. It really throws a spanner into the works of the people who are very one-sided when it comes to nature versus nurture.
Oh,
I love that about it, definitely.
Because my argument that is, in terms of like upbringing, when I tell you that me and Paris were like, we did the same thing. Like I'm telling you, like there's no memory I have that like he's not a part of, and any pictures we're together. And I just think I grew up being obsessed with the Spice Girls, and do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't thrown upon me. Like if anything, everything in my life was like football crazy, football mad. But for some reason, I was super crazy about Hearsay, Pure and Simple, and the Spice Girls. So then when people are like, no, it's a choice, I'm like, not sure it is, sweetheart, but okay. Like, I don't really ever get into all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, whatever. But it is interesting, definitely. There must be like some kind of test somewhere that someone's done. Do people like...
What do you?
I'm going to YouTube after. Yeah, there must be. Someone must have like looked into. Yeah.
I'm not sure if there is one or if there's one been found. So speaking from obviously from the straight side of things, I know that how easy and how much privilege we have, considering it's so widely accepted to be heterosexual and a straight white man. I must add to that, you know. How did he react? Did he always know as well? Like what was, you know, the person who's closest to you, you've got the most similarity to? I can't remember if we covered this in the first one.
No, we didn't. He was actually the first person I told, which
I
is
love that.
Yeah, I'll never forget it because he was sat on the computer in the living room, and I'd obviously be going over and over and over and over it, and he was just the sweet. Oh, I think I started crying just because I was saying it. But it's the same with like all my brothers. They were just all. I think they were more relieved that I had said it. I think they felt for a long time they're like, I hate the fact he feels like he can't tell us. But for me, it wasn't that. I was just like, I don't know how to like say it. And a lot of it was like, we already knew. And I was like, no, you didn't. Slash, like, I know you did. But no, it's just, all of them are just lovely. They're all so sweet. But yeah, there was no like crazy reactions, which I'm very, very, very like blessed because I couldn't imagine not having that. It must be so hard. Something that's just like who you are just as a person to not be met with like any form but love for that would just be real.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah, I can imagine. But no, very, very lucky.
I always go on about it. So once again, broken record. But I think that's why, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, it's really important to start with a base of being a good listener, right? Being able to be able to have that platform to actually listen and try and think about how the other person feels is always going to make people open up and like that safe space, and then people can talk. Because there's going to be things that are going to be really hard to say. We're all going to have them at some point in our life. That's going to be really hard to say something, no matter what it is.
I just think if there's a huge like lesson to be learned in the sense of just finding that one person. So no matter what it is on like the scale of this, the scale of that, just finding that one person within your life that you feel like you can just have the conversation with, and you might not know what to say, the right thing to say, and they might not. But just, I don't know, I feel like Paris was that person for me, like a bit of a safety blanket of like, I know that I can say this to you, whatever it means. And like, so I think as like not that anyone asked for a lesson from me today, I just feel like it's important to like, just find that one person in your life that you could be like, I'm dealing with this, I'm going through this. You might not know what to say, I don't really know what to say, but like, let's go. And then before you know it, you're getting something back that you probably weren't expecting.
So we've got a recommendation of It's a Sin.
Really,
we've got a lesson. What's the advice you would maybe give, or we can free ball it together if somebody doesn't feel like they have that person in their life at the moment?
Oh, do you know what I'm being dead serious. My housemates really got me into it. Journaling every day, like even because I think especially when it's up here, it can get too, and I've felt it very much about my personal life in the last couple months. It gets too mangled and it's too like, wow, what is happening? So I feel like if you don't have that person, I think to get it out I can't. Even me saying it, I'm like, really? But I swear, like my housemate's been making me do it, and it's so therapeutic.
You can shout her out, you know. You can say who it is.
Erin, sorry, I don't know why. I always call her my housemate. Can we get that little tag?
Yeah, but it is your housemate, and it's Erin, and she's also been doing some really cool stuff, like a grateful retreat for people doing that service.
She does it's called the Gratitude Retreat. It's on Instagram, follow it. And it's like a month program of just practicing daily like gratitude rituals and meditation and yoga. And I'm really not that person, but I've really found like writing out exactly like just word for word how I feel about stuff has helped massively, because I've got so many people in my life I can speak to, but there is certain things that I'm like, I don't want to go there. Like it's so, and I feel like writing it out has been a game changer massively. So I feel like, yeah, that was my advice. If you don't have that one person, really think about it, because I feel like you do. Maybe it's like a thing you can't allow yourself to do, but write it down. I swear, I swear by it. I feel like within a few days, I've completely flipped my mood around just by writing in this book every day. And I'm really not that person to do that stuff. Like, I'm like, yeah, nah. But
this is good advice, and this paid ad for Erin, so she can give us a bit of what's it called? A little bit of commission when people are signing up to it.
10% next person that joins.
So you said also, you mentioned things of like things that you don't want to get into, and I can imagine, there's a multitude of things, what they are for me, what they are for you. And when we spoke last time, there was obviously a little bit heavier news and of your dad passing during the first lockdown, which is obviously super sad, and I'm sure it doesn't get any easier, but you're learning and adjusting. One of the reasons I brought you on today is because it's I've not really lost many people in my life either, and I lost my granddad at the end of the year, and it's his birthday today, and I was like, I just messaged you last night, didn't I? I was like, because I knew that we could just have a little
that's nice though.
The right tone. And
his birthday today. Have you done anything like in your own setup to like celebrate, or is it kind of like a?
Well, we're all very separate, and my nana, who lost my granddad, is, she's elderly, so she has to be. She can't see anyone at the moment. So I messaged her and showed her what I'm next week. There won't be an episode in the evening because I'm going to do. It's my birthday next week, a week today, and you asked earlier, linking it all together. I'm going to do a 30-kilometer walk for turning 30 in memory of my granddad and raising some money for NHS staff. There's guys in St Thomas, so I'm going to do that next week. But I reckon I'll do a couple of little lives during the day, maybe on mental health of people can jump in, or we'll do something. I always come up with my ideas last minute, but like the awards ceremony went quite good, didn't it? So
I enjoyed that. It was nice. Happy birthday to your granddad, though.
Yeah. I know somebody else, one other person, my friend Graham, wished me that as well. And, it must be, as hard as it might be for me, I can't imagine what it's like for my nana, who's, it really broke me the other day when she said, it was in January as well. It was their, diamond wedding anniversary. It would have been 60 years of marriage. And she just messaged me saying that, like, we almost made it. And I was like, I just started into tears. I'm like,
you're like, wow, this, oh mate, I don't even know to start. It's hard. It's so hard. It's awful. It's awful because we've not even touched on this, but I over Christmas had crazy times on top of what already happened, and I just think, and I think it's just put me in a place of like, I actually don't know what to say on it, so I'm just like, it's hard, and I find it's my most important thing to do at the minute is just not to get overwhelmed by it. And everything. So even work and life.
Like you said, because there's a lot of things going on right now, and you said it's getting crazy, and you've had extra things on top of what you're already dealing with come at you at Christmas. Then you're just really feeling that if you let it all get to you in the same time, it could just be way too much.
And I think about like my family as well, and they just as a collective, I don't think we've deserved what's happened last year at all. No one ever does, but I think what's happened since Dad was just like crazy. So it's just very unfair sometimes. And
that's the whole philosophical debate, is how do we process that? How do you process things that are so unfair in life? Like there's young children who get terrible things like bone cancer. And I don't want to mean to bring that up to bring the mood down even further, but
not at all.
How do we cope with things when it just feels like somebody will loop it back and go full circle again? Somebody who's nice, who's like, you can see you're a good person and they're nice through and through. They do things for other people, and then something terrible happens to them and their family, and it gets
hard. I think you just want to make sense of everything all the time. You want to make sense of why something's happening, and I think for me, I've got to the point where like none of it makes sense anymore. It actually doesn't make sense. So it's like crazy point in my life to be in, because I'm like, none of this makes sense. It makes me so sad to the point where it's like I can't wrap my head around it. What do I do? And I think I've had to like find these little things to keep me like on top of it. Yeah, it's just, and like you say, like for your nan, it's like where, like it must be such a excuse my friend, like a head fuck to be like, what do I do from this point? But I think you just have to make that choice to like keep going with it, because to go backwards, and that's the only way I can to go backwards is just not worth it. Like, do you know what I mean?
No, that's why for me, the things I've been trying to do is to take something that's bad and like, even though it doesn't help, it doesn't fix it, doesn't do anything, but make something positive from it. Like try and do something that I've got myself, and create some action and do something that would, like, you know, somebody might appreciate, or somebody, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Like another example, and I don't want to keep bringing examples because I've not really spoke about it. Is that when during, you know, afterwards, Nana was showing us round something from her cupboard. You know, she having to be in the house by herself, doing a clear out of all his belongings. Like she was doing that stuff, and it's horrible. And then his ashes are there by the side of the bed, and saying, like she says, speaks to him every night before she goes to bed. And I'm like, please, I just can't.
Yeah, mate, I know. Yeah,
empathy when you think about what someone else is going through, that's what gets me.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's where I find my level of like dealing with stuff. Just to know that like over Christmas, my nan and granddad passed away. Like my nan passed Christmas Eve, and my granddad passed Christmas Day. And for like some of my family members, that's mum, dad, and a brother in a year. So then I can go, like, as difficult it is for me to like my nan, one of the best people going. So in my head to think, why is that happening to her? Why is it happening to my granddad who adores her? Why is it happening to my family who are all obsessed with this woman? On top of dad happening, and then 2 days later, granddad happening on Christmas Day. I'm like, this is too much. This is too much. So then, but like you just said, I think it's other people's version of what they're dealing with that makes me go, maybe it's not healthy. Maybe it's not the right thing to do, but makes me kind of switch out a bit like, yo, listen, you're struggling with this, it's rough, but there's people who are going through a version of it that I think is like a lot rougher for me. And I don't think it's about making those comparisons, but just where I'm at now, it's easy for me to kind of go, okay, I want to make sure Granddad Ray is fine. I want to make sure that like my brothers and sisters are cool. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think...
Yeah, it's just like I was saying, that action that you can do, it doesn't diminish how you feel. And I think that's really important. Like me listening to you, you know, you're rating how terrible it must be for this person because they're going through it. But we kind of try and elevate ourselves because what they're going through is worse. But even you sitting here, and I've only lost one person, and it was, and I wasn't nowhere near as close to my granddad, evidently from what you're speaking about, but you still feel for me, you know, and I still feel for my nana. It's not about, like you said, you really importantly said, it's not about rating them, and you don't, let's try not to push our own feelings to the side and go, but somebody's dealing with words. You know what I mean? It's really important to say that out loud for myself and for you.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, I think sometimes for me, especially at the minute, if I'm being really honest, if I stay in a place of like how it's affecting me, it's gonna like spiral. Like, and I say that as like I'm being funny, but like how I feel about like what is happening, I'm just like, I can't be in that place of.
Oh, not to mention there's a global pandemic, so you can't go and see all your friends, and you can't go.
On so many levels, it's just nuts. So I feel like maybe now where I'm at, like I'm just kind of. It sounds bad. I don't know if I'm ready to address how I feel about all the combinations of it. So.
Yeah, I think that there's you can't deal with it all at once, is what you're saying. It's too much, but you're actually aware of it. You're speaking about it to me. It's like you're going to maybe be a bit more strategic and deal with little bits as they come up rather than dealing with
I think that's a great word. What did you just say? I can't say it.
Strategic.
Yeah, I think that for me is like kind of like putting in boxes what you're prepared to kind of deal with at the minute. And at the minute, it's like a daily thing of like, yo, what am I doing today? Tomorrow, cool. Because once you sit there and you think about everything, especially what's going on at the minute, it's mad. It's mad. So I think it's just, and that's why, to plug it again, the whole like writing stuff down thing has been a game changer for me. So I really like would suggest trying it if you've never done it. Have you ever done it before?
I have. I've never got into a habit of doing it, but I've done some journals. I had to do it when I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. I just felt like a shell of a person. You know, I felt there's so many emotions, and you know, because that's grieving in a sense as well. But the person's still alive.
Cool.
You know,
mate.
Yeah.
And so, I actually think, and I think I might have said this before. There's an element of it that feels like rougher at the time, where obviously losing someone over a period of time, I think you deal with it later and later and later. A breakup in that moment is like, I'm not getting over this. Do you know what I mean? And then then down the line you're like, we're good. But like with grief in terms of like physically losing someone, I think that's a slow process. So at the time you felt you were just dealing with it. So yeah, sorry, go back to you. Just like
no, that was it's really important what you're saying. No, I'm just going to say that one of the reasons I've eventually dealt with that as well is the fact that me and my ex-girlfriend have a good relationship now. Is like a real, you know, you don't get that closure with grief. You don't get that closure of grief of somebody physically departing, you know. And
that's why I think it's important to work on those relationships being better. So like, yes, you have broken up with that person, but just to leave it in like an empty place of like, bye, is not it, because you would do anything.
You spent 4 years of your life with someone, and you just erased all those emotions and memories and, you know, just things.
No, it is. God, breakups are rough, boy. They are.
Yeah, but we're getting married anyway, so we're fine.
Yeah, should we do it now? Like, I actually took my ring off. Yeah.
That's it. And just before we finish, I had a lovely comment from Wilter the White. Said, everyone grieves differently. It's one of the most important lessons I've learned. It's allowed me to understand why I've felt the way I have with my losses. Really interesting. Everyone deals with everything differently, so it's permission to deal with it in the way that you do, or at least the emotions that you feel from it.
I'm going to say hi to Will if I think it's the person it is. I think Will White, I think guy back at home I kind of grew up with ish. If it's not, still hi, but if it is. But yeah, no, I think it's important. I don't know, what did you say? I missed it. What did you just say? Everyone feels differently. One of the most important lessons I've learned. Yeah, 100%. And I think I've realised that. Like, there's no right or wrong, and I think I have to teach myself that there's nothing I should be doing. Like now, it's just a process. Oh, my Auntie George is watching.
That's it. Everyone getting involved, and you know, we're here every week, apart from next week because it's my 30th birthday, and I'm going to cry into a tub of ice cream or something after I've done the 30k walk. I'm joking.
Why do a 30k
run? Because I'm
busy.
I'm not a fitness instructor.
Okay, that's fine. Just do a walk.
I am a fitness instructor. That was the irony.
I love it.
But yes, we're unfortunately out of time. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. If you missed the chat, then we'll be going up on the podcast as well. So there'll be plenty of ways to catch up, even if you missed the beginning, the end, whatever it is. So if you found it valuable, then please tell a friend about the platform. Tell a friend about Myles's talk, this one, his last one. And we just keep treading towards being open and sharing a bit of love in that.
And I will say, if there's anyone and I mean anyone watching this who feels like they want to do this, they should reach out, right? They can just message you.
Exactly.
And I swear by it. It might feel like I don't know, you might feel like you'll have nothing to say, but someone's always got something to say. So yeah, if you like are watching this and you think that this would be something to benefit you, like I can't even say enough. Like, because even like sat here now, I feel like because the chat we had before, I feel like from then on it's made me like process stuff so much like better and chat it out. So if I feel like shit, just message someone like, yo, I feel like shit. So then I sit here now, like, although I've dealt with things that have like added to the horribleness of life, I feel like I'm sat here like dealing with it differently because I have the chats. And I'm not even just doing that because we're sat here, like, and I do think that's because of these types of things.
Oh, that is a glowing response. We're all getting our back scratched tonight. Myles, love you so much.
Love you so much. I appreciate it.
Bye, everyone. Have a lovely
evening,
everyone. And we'll see you all soon enough.
Bye. See you later. I love you. Okay, it's done him.